Hello and welcome Dota fans to another cast by SeeC from the subreddit Dota 2 Castit. This is going to be a game between Trigger Happy Bunnies and Warriors of Apocalypse. Getting straight into the bans here, looks like Warriors of Apocalypse is going to ban out the Darkseer and the Nyx Assassin, while Trigger Happy Bunnies will ban out the Batrider and the Wisp. Batrider and Wisp, very common bans. Nyx getting a little bit less so, but he is still a very commonly banned out hero for his mass stunning capabilities and ability to pick supports off very easily. Darkseer a little bit unorthodox to go in the first round like this, but he is a very solid offlane hero, and he can get very annoying to deal with depending on your lineup. Warriors of Apocalypse are going to pick out the Vengeful Spirit first. Vengeful having a good stun, the swap, a little bit of minus armor and some damage. A little bit, very nice pick if they go for a slightly more physical lineup, as she does have a damage aura, which is quite nice. Trigger Happy Bunnies answers with the Lifestealer and Bane. Same kind of draft I've seen from them before. Lifestealer is a very good carry, obviously, and he really puts out a lot of physical DPS. Bane, one of the best counters to the Lifestealer, so Trigger Happy Bunnies might have just been picking that so that Warriors of Apocalypse couldn't again. Bane with the Enfeeble really hurts him early game, and Fiend's Grip, of course, being one of the major counters to the Lifestealer later in the game once he hits level 6 and beyond. It goes through the BKB, and thus it goes through Rage, so it is able to lock the Lifestealer down one-on-one very easily. Warriors of Apocalypse answering back with the Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman, very good DPS as far as his wards go, his Ether Shock, and also has a Hex and a Shackle, allowing him to disable 2 single targets for quite a while, personally. Trigger Happy Bunnies answers with a Gyrocopter ban, not willing to deal with the AoE there, and just the ridiculous Rocket Barrage and other things. And just talking about the teams so far, Warriors of Apocalypse, Vengeful, and Shadow Shaman almost always played as supports, and they do have a very stun-heavy lane, so there's going to be a fearsome tri-lane if they decide to go that route. On the other side, Trigger Happy Bunnies has Lifestealer doing a lot of DPS, and Bane, a support. Definitely not one of the highest DPS supports, but he does have a lot of lockdown, especially in the early game when he's coupled with something like a Lina, something like a Leshrac, something in those ranges. Trigger Happy Bunny bans out the PL, just trying to ban out the carries. It looks like that would be good in tri-lanes, so something like the Gyro and PL definitely would be dangerous with something like a Vengeful and Shadow Shaman tri-lane. Warriors of Apocalypse banning out the Weaver, once again an offlane hero, banned out the Darkseer before, so it looks like they're going to target a little bit more of that kind of style. And banning out the Riki, which is a bit unorthodox. I'm not sure Trigger Happy Bunnies would have picked him anyway, but hey, if they feel like banning him, they just really don't want to deal with the invisibility, don't want to deal with the massive damage, and just don't want to deal with his cloud. Definitely good reasons to ban him out, but just a little bit of an unorthodox ban coming out from Warriors of Apocalypse here. Trigger Happy Bunny, still looking for a mid, a support, and an offlane. Warriors of Apocalypse, a carry, a mid, and an offlane. So, looking at kind of the same picks. Trigger Happy Bunnies does go for the Leshrac, and Bane coupled with a Leshrac can definitely be a very good laning combo, as well as a very good roaming combo. Going from a Nightmare into the Leshrac stun, into the Diabolic Edict, or the Lightning, can really just have a high impact, be a very high kill lane early in the game, especially when coupled with something like the Lifestealer's slow and his massive damage. Warriors of Apocalypse coming back with the Treant Protector, one of the most annoying heroes to play against at this point in time. His living armor has gotten so ridiculous after all of its recent buffs, and just taking a look at that here is going to be 7 damage instances blocked, 4, 7, 10, and 13 HP regen, and 20, 40, 60, and 80 blocked damage, depending on levels, of course. And that just means that for the early game, he pretty much has a 7 charge refraction, and oh, by the way, it's global and can go on towers and other buildings, which just makes it absolutely obscene. It allows people to tank through freaking so much damage. I mean, 7 instances of 80 damage, it's 560 damage blocked right there. That is 2 solid full spells. High damage, 300 hits a spell. That's a ridiculous amount of damage blocked, especially for something so low mana cost. As you can see, the mana cost is 25, with a duration of 15 seconds and a cooldown of 15 seconds. So that can get really annoying really fast, especially globally. It can be used to save heroes, and it's quite a fearsome spell. Treant Protector here, usually run as a support, but I have seen him run offlane sometimes, so that would definitely be a possibility. Warriors also picking up the Anti-Mage, while Trigger Happy Bunnies picks up the Nature Prophet. Nature Prophet could be an off lane, can be jungling, depending on how they want to run him. I've also seen him run mid. He is certainly a decent mid, and the one cool thing about Nature's Prophet here in this lineup is that his treants will count as charges against Treant Protector's armor. So, if he does want to take off those armor charges very quickly on someone, if you put 4 treants on him, it takes a second or two, 1 or 2 attacks to take those off. Trigger Happy Bunnies bans out the Geomancer, while Warriors ban out the Queen of Pain. They know that Trigger Happy Bunnies really need a mid hero, and so does Warriors of the Apocalypse, unless they're going to run Treant mid, which is very possible. With his ridiculous base damage, it can be very scary to go against him in lane. I mean, he can tank damage all day, he has an invisibility, he has a slow, and he has like 90 base damage or something, or 88 base damage. Regardless, it's ridiculous. Trigger Happy Bunny's picking up the Pudge here. That's going to be a fun pick to watch. He can usually run as a mid hero here. Sometimes I've seen him as a safe lane farmer or something like that, but most often he's a mid hero, while Warriors of Apocalypse will close out their draft with the Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter usually off lane, so that would leave a Treant Protector mid and an Anti-Mage tri-lane. They might actually go for an aggressive tri-lane here and try to shut down that lifesteal because they have a very high kill lane. Nature's Prophet probably going to be in the off lane or the jungle. Pudge, I would guess middle, and possibly a safe lane, possibly an aggressive tri-lane coming out from Trigger Happy Bunnies. Either is really possible, as that tri-lane also has a relatively high kill potential. Start off the game by introducing the teams. On the WA, there's going to be Cross on the Treant, Hasker on the Shadow Shaman, Avalkos on the Vengeful, Der Kaiser on the Anti-Mage, and Poutini on the Bounty Hunter. Looking at the other team, looks like it's going to be Ben on that Lifestealer, Evil Genius on the Pudge, Razi on the Shrek, Pendulum on the Bane, and Squid on that off-lane Nature's Prophet. And it looks like Nature's Prophet will start out on that off-lane. Not sure if he's going to stay there the entire time. If he does get shut down too hard, he will likely rotate out to the jungle or something. Ben headed down to the bottom, most likely for that tri-lane with Razi and Pendulum here. Evil Genius going to be going mid, but has no regen as of yet, but he will get pulled. A Tango, it looks like? Nope. Okay, they're just hugging a little bit. They're hugging it out. He will eventually get pulled to Tango, looking for a quicker bottle, so he keeps that 200 gold there, but goes for the Stout Shield and the Gauntlet.
30 seconds.
Cross hanging out top lane here with the wards, and looks like it's going to be a tri-lane up here with Der Kaiser and Avalkos. And Shadow Shaman is going to be mid. I haven't seen a mid Shadow Shaman in a very long time, so that was a little bit of a surprise for me. But he is a very capable mid hero, just a slightly unorthodox, of course. But we'll see how that works out for them, especially up against a Pudge. Miracle, or well, Poutini rather, on bottom here. He's going to be the off-lane Bounty Hunter, just trying to get some experience and farm as time goes on. And he will likely be able to do both, as the kill potential of this lane is certainly high, but with his invisibility, it does make him a little bit safer. Not fantastically safe, but we'll see. And it looks like the Nature's Prophet's going to try some cheeky little stuff with the treants here, with pulling the creeps off. And he will get all of the creeps aggroed, but he's taking a ton of damage on those treants, so I'm not sure if he'll... Oh, they do back off the treants, so either they don't care or they don't know how that's going. But he will pull them back. Not sure if that treant's going to live much longer, and he does miss micro it a little bit, looks like there. Or he just meant to kill it off and force them into the tower. Either one will get him a little bit more experience. Looking at this bottom lane, Poutini is going to get a Sentry Ward dropped on him. Pendulum has not hinted that he has dropped this Sentry Ward yet, so they still have the potential. And there's the Nightmare. It looks like Leshrak's stun going to come out in a moment or two. Stun going out. Ben going to start right-clicking here, and the slow comes out on him. Poutini tries to go invisible again, but there's no chance he is making that out of there. Very solid move there from Pendulum. He dropped the Sentry Ward and then just kind of milled around the Bounty Hunter, while the Bounty Hunter still believed that he could not be seen. By doing so, he made sure that the Bounty Hunter didn't run away and didn't run out of that Sentry Ward range before getting nightmared and stunned up and slowed and killed. Evil Genius and Hasker are having a little bit of a fun quarrel here in middle. Hasker with the double damage is going to be able to harass the Pudge off a little bit, get a couple extra last hits there. Definitely going to be a very effective room for him early in this game. I would expect the Pudge, once he hits level 6, to be able to take this a little bit more easily, as he can put a Sentry Ward somewhere up on the high ground and hook away, because Shadow Shaman's not notoriously tanky, but certainly pretty decent. And he's getting a whole bunch more harassing. Evil Genius will go quite low, and he will get the hook out. He's going to rot himself to death, but Shadow Shaman manages to get the kill with just 46 HP left. Without that double damage rune, he would not have gotten the kill. Luckily for him, he had that rune and manages to get that and get his bottle out to him, so he won't even have to head back to base. Evil Genius TP's back in the middle. Good hook by him, knew his range, knew exactly what he had to do. He was just a little bit off in terms of damage, most likely due to that double damage rune. Nature's Prophet up top here, doing reasonably well. He is kind of just surviving, getting a couple denies, couple last hits where he can, but most importantly, he is surviving. He hasn't died yet, and that is the most you can ask of an off-lane Nature's Prophet, especially considering he doesn't have any escape mechanism, true escape mechanism there, or anything like that. Pulls are going to start happening from across the train here. He's going to start denying off the waves, which is going to make Nature's Prophet life a lot harder, and just give the Anti-Mage and Avocos a better chance to farm up and keep the creep equilibrium where they want it. Mid lane, Hasker still pushing in a little bit, and he's doing reasonably well. Him and the Pudge are both right about even with 8 and 6 at this point, so they're doing reasonably well, both. Poutini here has been pushed out a little bit, and Pendulum is asking him to move. They do have vision of him, and he does release the fact that they have this ward down here. Just asking him to move, most likely because if he does stand still for a certain amount of time, the game will automatically disconnect him as they think he is AFK. That time is something like 5 minutes or so, so it wasn't a real concern there, but always a possibility, and better safe than sorry, I guess. But he does reveal the fact that they have an aggressive ward up there. Ben leading the charts of last hits right here with 17. Anti-Mage coming in a close second at 13. So he is also doing well with his Quelling Blade. Definitely going to help him get that farm. Once he gets up a Battle Fury, if he decides to go that route, he will speed up his farm quite a bit, especially if he dives into the jungle or something like that. He'll be able to farm a lot faster and quite possibly out-farm a Nakes, depending on how farm Nakes gets in the meantime. Very few heroes can really contest the flash farming capability of a farmed Anti-Mage, especially with that really low cooldown blink. 5-second cooldown, he can jump between camps very easily. Evil Genius taking some harass here at mid at the hands of Hasker. Neither has anything left in their bottle, but the 4-minute rune did just spawn, and Evil Genius trying to get that hook, but does miss by a little bit on the edge of the range there. Rune is going to be on bottom here, the double damage. Neither of them realizing it yet, and Evil Genius getting a little bit of damage, but looks like Hasker is going to go for that rune, and Evil Genius will be able to see him going for it, so he might attempt a hook or something, but if he does, he doesn't have much mana there, and the stun coming out from the left track. Definitely a good play there from them. Pendulum getting the Nightmare up. Evil Genius sitting back, going to hook out, and hooks Pendulum. Slight misplay there. Does miss the hook by a little bit, but another Split Earth coming out from the Leshrac, and Squid even TPs in on that Nature's Prophet to get a little bit of the experience and help finish him off. He manages to get level 5 out of that, and Razi down at level 2. Evil Genius at level 5 as well, and Pendulum sitting at level 3, almost level 4. Ben is at level 4 now, so the Nature's Prophet is one of the higher levels, along with that Pudge in the middle. Nature's Prophet definitely doing a very good job of sapping experience from that top lane, but he will now move into the jungle with his 4 Treant Nature's Call, so he will be able to farm up the jungle a lot easier now that he has that. Nyx is going to go for the Midas build. He's really just trying to get into the late game without getting too oppressed as far as farm and experience goes. This will definitely help him accelerate his experience due to that hand of Midas. Der Kaiser going for the Ring of Health, so it looks like he will be going for the Battle Fury build here. Hopefully he gets that out in a good amount of time for him so he can start accelerating his farm and being able to contest that Nakes as soon as possible. The only real problem with an Anti-Mage pick against something like a Nakes is that Anti-Mage can't usually fight until a little bit later in the game compared to a Nakes. Nakes, if you go something like Phase Drums, will be able to fight a lot earlier into that mid game. It looks like we'll have a pause coming out from the Shadow Shaman. No reason given, but likely lag or bathroom or door or something else like that. But looks like it'll be a short one with just 5 seconds coming out from the Anti-Mage. But as I was saying, the Nakes can definitely fight earlier if he needs to. He can go for something like a Phase Drums and have the stats and speed to be able to fight a little bit earlier than the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage almost has to get that Battle Fury to be able to contend farm later in the game. So he does need the Battle Fury, and then he'll usually go for Treads and usually needs one more item to actually be able to contest in team fights and overall be able to contest something like a mid-game Nakes. Nakes is able to hit very hard, so something usually like a mana out of the Anti-Mage will be able to burn off all the mana on Nakes very quickly. So if he doesn't get that rage popped immediately, his mana will drop very rapidly until he has none left and just not enough to be able to do anything. Evil Genius TP's top, misses the hook a little bit on that Vengeful Spirit, but Vengeful Spirit's just going to stand in tower range and tank up a whole lot of damage for fun. So he does get the Living Armor cast off on him. He'll tank up a whole bunch more damage thanks to that, but he will get a whole bunch of it blocked, and the tower will go down thanks to the Shadow Shaman wards. They did invest 4 up for that, so Quite a bit of an investment, but it did pay off in getting that tower. And the Pudge trying to go for an illusion, it looked like, getting shackled up by Haskar, and he's in there against 4 of them. A little bit of a misplay, and he will give up a kill to the Treant Protector. Had he, stayed back a little bit farther, would have been a little bit more effective, but he was trying to get the Shadow Shaman image locked in these wards. He didn't realize that the real Shadow Shaman was hanging out somewhere else, actually over up close to the creep wave, so he did try to get that kill and failed the hook, missed the hook a little bit, and got taken out. Bit of a misplay, but not the end of the world, especially this early, and especially when the experience is split over 4 heroes, it's a little bit less of a deal. 4 coming in, Pendulum right up front, doesn't get off the Nightmare. Huskar getting off his Hex a little bit faster, and they will smoke up to try to chase, but it's not looking like they'll have the speed. If they do, they might catch up to Haskar or something like that, as he is quite slow compared to Pendulum, and it looks like they will catch him up, get the Nightmare off, but the Nightmare taken by, it looked like Evil Genius there, but Haskar will go down regardless, as there are 5 up here. 5 of them chasing him out, and it looks like WA will just start TPing away. Pudge going in for a little bit of a blind hook, but grabs a creep. Manages to kill off the creep, though. Gets a little bit of golden experience there after them, but missing the hook there. Ben is going to go on Der Kaiser here. Der Kaiser burning off a whole bunch of his mana, as you can see. Der Kaiser has gone for a couple points into the mana break, which is a little bit unusual. A lot of the pro players tend to go for a 1-1-1 build for the early game and then just drop everything else in stats so they can tank up a bit, get a little bit more life and mana. But he has gone for Mana Break and Blink, and Mana Break is definitely very useful against these heroes, especially going against the Leshrac and Pendulum here. It will definitely help to keep them down. Looks like the Lifesteal is going to try to initiate, and Animage will get hooked off and eaten out by Evil Genius, and he will go down to that with a lot of help from that Nature's Prophet ult, but to Evil Genius specifically. Ben getting infested into a creep there in order to avoid the rage wearing off and taking a whole bunch of damage, so he manages to infest, and it looks like the Treant is caught out here really in the middle of nowhere and doesn't have his invisibility, so he will get stunned up and rotted out. Leshrac picking up that kill. He just kind of wandered into the middle of 4 heroes there. Not the best job there, but he didn't have that level of invisibility, so he was not able to get away. Looks like Puntini is down here just trying to farm up, get a couple levels, get a couple items up maybe. Definitely looking for that level 6. He really becomes useful at level 6 with that track being a huge skill for team fights, and even trades. Managing to go 1-for-1 or something like that would definitely benefit the Dire here once they can get that track up on those heroes, because yes, they trade experience, but the gold trade will be significantly in favor of the Dire if they can manage to track the hero before its death. Der Kaiser going to push out mid. He does opt to go for the treads instead of just rushing a straight Battle Fury, so he will have a bit more survivability, but that also will delay his farm momentarily as he recovers that gold. Razi does have enough money for boots, but he is opting to spend everything he has on wards pretty much. And it looks like Der Kaiser is going to initiate on Razi a little bit, and you can see that mana break doing a whole lot of mana damage to Razi, to the point where he doesn't actually have the mana for a stun. Der Kaiser blinks away, and Pudge throws out the hook, attempting to get the blind hook on him. Evil Genius did have a haste rune there, so he was able to chase him down, just not able to get the hook. Does bottle a regen rune, which will get him up to full health, and he throws out the hook and misses the hook on Huskar. Huskar throwing out the Hex as well as the Shackle, and Der Kaiser will come in and get that kill. Puntini getting the track out before the kill, so they will all enjoy a whole bunch of bonus gold on him. On all of them, really. Puntini getting the best of it, of course. Manages to hit 6 there and get the track out to get a whole lot of extra gold for him and his team. And that's what I mean, just kind of the getting caught out is going to hurt the Radiant more than it's going to hurt Warriors of the Apocalypse here. Due to that track, the gold is going to be 50 for the Bounty Hunter, or 150 for the Bounty Hunter, and 50 for all of his allies in those situations. So that's a lot of gold every kill going out there, especially if it's a multi-hero kill from the Dire. Looks like they're going to push in on this tower. Evil Genius is going to look for the hook, and Pendulum will get swapped out and killed. Ben TPing in, infests immediately into a creep, wards dropped, and stun coming out from the Leshrac, and Evil Genius throwing out the hook and threading the needle. Somehow he didn't manage to hit anything, blowing my mind there. He really just thread the needle between everyone. Ben going in, getting stunned up, and mana voided out, will go down. He was expecting the hook to hit there, and went in as if it would. Der Kaiser getting hooked up and eaten by the Pudge. Evil Genius will manage to get that kill. Very good kill from him, and a nice hook coming out. He will get hit with the Leech Seed, slowed down, but a silence coming out on, or a stun coming out on Poutini. Nature's Prophet ult bouncing through, but Bane will go down in the meantime. Nature's Prophet ult not doing enough to force everyone back. On the bright side there, the Pudge and Leshrac both managed to get away, but the Life Stealer did go down in that fight, which is going to slow down his farm a bit. He does have the phase boots coming out though, so that's definitely going to be a good item for him to have to get that speed up. Abelkos, during that fight, managed to get off a very good swap on the Bane, getting a pretty much instant kill on that Bane to get him out of the fight. Very solid play from him to swap that Bane in. Poutini heading bottom lane. He also has his phase boots. Looks like he may be going for a Battle Fury with the Perseverance, possibly the spell blocking one, whatever it happens to be on him. Either one tends to be pretty good, but you usually see a Battle Fury out on bounty hunters if you do see the Perseverance up. Looks like they're going to be pushing up on this first tower, up on the top lane. Rozzy coming through with the stun on Hasker as soon as he TP's in. And you see that the power of that living armor there, really healing up the tower at a couple HP per second and blocking a huge amount of damage coming off on it. Without that and without the glyph, that tower would have gone down for sure. But looks like they're going to counter-initiate with Evil Genius kind of hanging out, waiting for a perfect line on that hook on Hasker. Hasker is going to, actually Squid is going to initiate on Hasker, but Evil Genius hitting that hook will manage to get the kill on the Shadow Shaman. Between the hook and a couple of rot damage, definitely enough damage to lock that down for him. Didn't cost him much in terms of mana or life or his ultimate cooldown, so he will be able to continue to initiate on the heroes on top lane if he chooses to. Lifestealer infests inside him to add a little bit of burst magic damage, and he will, looks like, try to walk into lane to get a hook. Bounty Hunter is there, does manage to get the slow on him, and gets the track out. Hook down on Abelkos, but Evil Genius does get stunned out before he can manage to get his ultimate off, but Ben will manage to clean that up with help from the urn from Evil Genius. Evil Genius getting hit up quite a lot there, but perfect canceled off there by Der Kaiser, canceling off the Pudge ultimate with his stun, but he will go down to Ben, not having the blink up soon enough. Lifestealer kicking off the anti-mage there. Nature's Prophet gets the kill on the tower. Poutini chasing down Ben, just getting a whole bunch of damage from that the Genyatta. Will manage to get that kill, but luckily Lifestealer right there did manage to get off his hand to Midas on a nearby creep, granting him that cooldown to cooldown while he is dead. Definitely a very helpful job from him. Very, very good thinking. Going into death with that cooldown up just really tends to be a bit of a bad idea, as it helps so much to get, Lifestealer's dead there for what, 35 seconds or so. That's a third of the cooldown for the Hand of Midas, so for terms of gold, that's about 60 gold that he would have not gotten otherwise. Squid going on the middle lane here. Cross drops the Leech Seed and just heals everyone up and tries to drop the armor on the tower, but as you can see, like I mentioned in the draft, those treants really doing a lot of perfect deny coming out there from Cross. Very nice deny between the Diabolic Edict, all the treants, all the right clicks, and solid blink from Der Kaiser getting out of range of the Evil Genius blink, or Evil Genius hook there, managing to get away from that. But as you can see, those treants really whittled down the living armor charges pretty much instantly. Having those 4 treants out there allowed him to get rid of that armor before it could have a huge impact on that tower. Track coming out on Rozzy, but that'll be the end of that. And Evil Genius just walking into the middle of 3 or 4 heroes there. Perhaps a little bit of a misplay, just kind of waltzing in there. Maybe he just didn't know how many of them there were there, but he's being a little bit too aggressive this game. But a Nightmare out on Poutini and the stun coming out, Ben raging up, and the life leech coming out from him, and the perfect infest coming out from Ben to get that last little bit of magic damage out on the bounty to secure that kill. Bounty going down there will be a bit of a hurt for his team, but it's only 1 kill, and they did manage to get a couple good kills, but right immediately before that. Very close game though, looking at 10-9. Hasker going to initiate on Ben, drops the wards and the shackle, but there is Pendulum and Evil Genius right next to him, so Evil Genius will drop the ultimate on him and get that kill pretty easily. A little bit of an overextension there from the Shadow Shaman, and Evil Genius will throw out a hook, but not manage to really catch much there. Rozzy coming up and stealing a creep kill with the Split Earth, but a little bit of an overextension there from Shadow Shaman, so he will give away a kill. Squid doing what Nature's Prophets do best in split pushing. He does apply a bit of pressure on that top lane to the tower and dropping the ultimate and hitting up Poutini here a little bit. Poutini getting a couple hits, but Squid will manage to root himself and TP away, he has his Shadow Blade coming out, and Poutini actually almost gets that kill. Well, meanwhile, a Pudge gets a kill on the Treant Protector right below that. Gets a very nice hook out on the Anti-Mage there. Very solid hook. And Courier has also been killed. Bounty Hunter manages to get the Leshrac kill, but Leshrac does get a stun out on the Bounty right before that. Sentry Ward is dropped, so they can see the Bounty now, but he is a little bit out of range as that range on the Sentry Ward has gotten nerfed. He comes back in and drops the track on Evil Genius, but doesn't look like much will be coming out of there. Squid coming in, TPing in and dropping the Sprout, but no real follow-up coming out from him. He does have his Shadow Blade now, so he can split push a little bit safer, but as you can see from that top lane, he is not perfectly safe. Perfect hook coming out there from Evil Genius, and they will get the kill on the Shadow Shaman. Very nice hooks coming out, and that's all due to this ward. This ward providing a lot of very important vision, and vision is no more important than in a game with Pudge. Especially against Pudge and for Pudge, vision is the key to landing all of those nice hooks and other such things. Just taking a look at the Fog of War for the Radiant here, you can see how much vision that provides right up to the edge of the tower there. So Pudge, anytime he is in the radius of this ward, is able to provide that support in getting those hooks. Turn the fog back to normal here so you can see everyone's vision, and it looks like Poutini is going to find the entire other team, and Evil Genius now landing all of the hooks, it looks like. Albacost trying to swap out, but does get killed. Poutini getting Fiends ripped up, but the Treant ultimate coming through. Pendulum and Evil Genius are caught out a little bit now, but Ben coming in to reinforce them on the backside, getting the kill on the Treant Protector, but Bounty Hunter picking up Evil Genius in the meantime. Derek Kaiser trying to blink out, but he will be caught by the Bane, but Bane just does not have the mana to deal with this. The Pudge Illusion's doing a bit of damage, and Squid TPing in, but TPing a little bit to the wrong side. Ben initiating here on Poutini with the open wounds, but not managing to follow that up with enough damage and enough speed to get that kill. He is tracked up, so that added a whole bunch of speed to the Bounty Hunter as he attempted to retreat. Haskar getting the Hex out, dropping the wards, dropping the Shackle, and this might be enough damage to clean it up. Razi coming through with the stun to slow him down, but he does have Ben trapped in the wards, so Ben trying to armlet toggle out, does manage to get 2 armlet toggles and attack his way out of the wards. Very nice armlet toggling from Ben, manages to avoid all the damage for those times. Squid trying to initiate in, does get tracked and killed. Ben finally going down, not managing to armlet toggle out of that one, and then you can see the power of the Treant armor there. Haskar managing to stay alive thanks to all those instances of damage block. Good engagement there for the Warriors of the Apocalypse, getting at least 1 track kill. Might have been 2, I didn't see if the Lifestealer was tracked, but definitely managing to get a bunch of extra gold. Razi is invisible here, blocking out Cross just for fun, just to be a little bit of a nuisance it looks like. Evil Genius sitting here trying to maneuver his way in for a hook, but doesn't manage to get quite in range there for that. Razi just following out Cross a little bit, and Evil Genius will throw out the hook, but Cross has gone invisible, and they will not be able to see him. They didn't see him go invisible, so it might be still a little bit of mystery. Poutini coming in invisible as well. Looks like a whole invisible brigade is here. They are not aware of Razi being here, though, so if they do try to initiate, there will be an extra hero that they are unaware of. And there will be a hook coming out from Evil Genius onto Poutini. He did not have vision of that. There's no Sentry Ward or Gem or anything else anywhere near him. That was just a totally blind hook, putting out a bunch of damage onto the Bounty Hunter there. Lucky play, but certainly one they can always take advantage of. The D ward coming out here from the Dire is going to be huge, and it looks like Evil Genius will get a hook on Cross. Initiating in was Ben. Ben trying to take out the Vengeful Spirit here, slowing him down, getting a couple extra hits on him, and it looks like he will be able to take him out right as the rage ends. Poutini initiating on Squid. Squid trying to run away. Poutini eating through those trees with that Quelling Blade and managing to get that last hit on Squid, getting a couple extra gold, and Infest will come out from Ben, and the wards getting dropped from Haskar. Will manage to get the kill on Pendulum from Miracle. Ben is tracked up here, looking to get that kill on him, but he will take out the Shadow Shaman. Hook coming through on Derek Kaiser, and manages to get that kill as well while the Lifestealer goes down. So both hard carries going down. So about an even trade at going 3 for 3, actually 4 for 3 now. Evil Genius will drop his ultimate on Poutini, and will not be able to secure that kill unless he gets a really lucky hook in the next second or two, but looks like that won't be happening. Poutini trying to re-engage, but Evil Genius is healing up, so I'm not sure Poutini will be able to get that kill, but he's going to try anyway, doing a couple hundred damage. And the Vengeful did come in to try to back him up, but Evil Genius will find a very fortuitous regen rune on top here and pop that immediately. Albacost and Poutini are just going to back off a little bit here, not want to go up against a full health Pudge and Poutini picking up the Vlad's, definitely going to be very helpful for him. Lifestealer has picked up the Armlet as we saw earlier. Bane with the Force Staff, and it looks like Albacost is going to go down here. Evil Genius managing to land that hook. Squid TPing in for a little bit of support, but not quite needed as Evil Genius did have the damage output he needed. Squid going either for the Desolator or the BKB here. I would guess Desolator, but he could go for a BKB if he does want to survive for a while longer, but the Desolator will give him a whole bunch of extra damage. Evil Genius throwing out the hook after seeing the Treant go invisible, but not quite able to land that. Evil Genius also getting a Force Staff. Bane picking up his Force Staff and Arcane Boots relatively quickly, and it looks like the Radiant are going to ward up here again. Evil Genius landing a hook on Cross. Every time I look away, he's landing another hook. Managed to get that kill with the Nature's Prophet, getting a little bit of help in there. A little bit of shots in edgewise. And Evil Genius was a little bit off on his hooks in the earlier parts of the game, the early mid-game. But since, oh wow, Lifestealer diving for a kill here. Definitely manages to get that kill on the Shadow Shaman between the Rage and the Open Wounds, and will get swapped up by Albacost, but no real follow-up there. Stun coming out, and the Bane kind of force staffing in, but not able to get in far enough. Derek Kaiser getting some damage up on Ben. Ben using the last of his mana to get that Rage out. Very nice sprout from Squid. Derek Kaiser will manage to blink away, but Albacost will not be going down. Poutini getting Fiends gripped up. And dropping the ultimate to try to interrupt that, but Poutini will go down anyway. That's a 3-for-1 trade coming out for the Dire, and that is not going to be the best trade they've made, but they did take down the Lifestealer, which is a big kill, but in trade, they have dropped the Shadow Shaman, the Bounty Hunter, and Avalcost, the Vengeful Spirit. Derek Kaiser has picked up his Battle Fury not too long ago, and that is definitely going to help accelerate his farm if he can manage to get some space to farm, but THB has just been so reliant on trying to be aggressive, especially with a pick like that Pudge. They really needed to be aggressive. He forced us up onto the high ground here, but it looks like the Dire will have vision of that with this ward here. The Observer ward spotting him out, and Haskar is very well aware of this. I'm curious what kind of vision this actually gives him, so I'm going to check the Radiant Vision real quick. Doesn't give him a huge vision circle as it is night, and Haskar is going to call him out for that. He is well aware that he is up there. And that's going to kind of diffuse anyone from coming out. And even if Evil Genius doesn't get a kill from up there, he is able to kind of push everyone back. As you can see, the Dire is not even willing to come anywhere near this tower. They're not even going to try to defend it because they know as soon as they do, they're going to get hooked up onto this ledge with Pudge. And the two of them cannot deal with that kind of burst damage coming out from the Pudge. Pudge will force that down, throw out a hook, but a little bit off the mark. As I was saying earlier, Evil Genius was a little bit off early in this game on those Pudge hooks, but in the last 10 minutes or so, I'm not sure I've seen him miss more than 2 or 3 hooks. He had seems like every hook he throws out, whether he has any vision or not like that, he manages to get the kill, and Cross going down there to a good hook from Evil Genius. Razi getting stunned up, and the Shuriken thrown at him. He will go down to that Bounty Hunter. Then initiating into Avalcost here now with the Rage up. Will get hexed out though when the Rage ends, and it looks like he will be going down. Pudge getting another hook out on Haskar, and Haskar will be going down to the Pudge. Bane going down at the same time though to those wards. Looks like Pudge might be going down soon. A little bit of a weird swap there from Avalcost to get that stun out, but the Anti-Mage will get the kill on Pudge, and that'll be a good bit of gold for him. He does have his Yasha up, so he is definitely getting a bit more farm, and that'll be a 4-for-1 trade in favor of the Dire. Pudge is going to buy back into the game in an attempt to get back in there. Squid is going to TP out, and it looks like he has gone back for an Orchid. He was going for either the BKB or the Desolator, but he has doubled back, gotten that Orchid to try to slow down the Anti-Mage, and Orchid is always going to be a wonderful pickup against the Anti-Mage. Evil Genius looks like he's going to initiate here, missed the hook by an inch or two, and Anti-Mage will jump on him. He'll stun up the Anti-Mage, but Avalcost coming back with a stun of his own. Looks like Evil Genius is going to try to rot himself out and heal up a little bit, but going down to the ultimate from the Anti-Mage there is going to be that Pudge. But Derek Kaiser has gone back for that, but like I was saying, sorry about that Orchid. The Orchid up on the Nature's Prophet here is going to be huge. Anti-Mage relies on being able to go in and out of fights very quickly. He can't tank up that damage constantly. He only has 929 health. So something like the Bane's pure damage nuke does 300 damage, and that's 300 pure damage, and that's a third of Anti-Mage's health. Instantly, just a third of his health is gone. Every fight. It's just, if they target that on him once a fight, a third of his health just going to that. So he can't actually stay in those fights. He can't stand there and take all this damage in the middle of a fight. So he relies on that 5-second blink cooldown to get into a fight, do some damage, get out of the fight before he gets focused, get back into the fight, and try to pick up stragglers on the edges until he gets more farmed up. He's almost all the way to his Manta now, having picked up the ultimate orb in his stash, so that will be definitely helpful coming out. Poutini looking for that Orchid as well, and that'll be very helpful against something like the Lifestealer, the Leshrac, the Bane. They all rely very heavily on their spells. Lifestealer just for that rage, otherwise without that rage, he will get locked down very quickly. And once he gets locked down, he gets killed. If he can't stick to a target and just damage out that target, he will get killed. Looks like there was going to be some initiation coming out in the middle. The ward's dropped on Pendulum. Pendulum forced into a trap there, but the Leshrac just gets decimated. Great hook there from Evil Genius coming out on Avocos. Avocos will go down. Ben reinitiating into Hasker is going to get tracked up, but the drum charge coming out, it looked like, or no, the armor charge coming out. Hasker is going to go down there in a second or two. That train armor just not doing quite enough. Der Kaiser getting the Manta out is going to be able to take all of Ben's mana away immediately, but the anti-mage, like I said, just does not have the life to stand in the middle of a fight. Even with that Manta, he just does not have the tank to be able to stand there and take damage. He is forced to blink away with no real damage coming out to either team. That was a 1-for-1 trade, it looked like, so no hurt, no harm, no foul for either side, just trading away supports. Bounty will pick up that Orchid as soon as it comes out to him. Yep, he'll pick up the Orchid, so that'll be a huge help for him. Cross here, invisible behind everyone, does have his ultimate up, so he will be able to lock them all down, but it looks like they're just going to back away and not try to take that fight. I was wrong on the Nature's Prophet here. He does go for the Maelstrom, looking for just a bit more of the pushing power there against the creep waves. Being able to clear out those waves with the Chain Lightning very quickly will be a very big help for him in his split pushing ventures. Desolator would be better against towers than Maelstrom, but Maelstrom is certainly the better item for clearing away the creeps. As you can see, that Chain Lightning doing a fair bit of damage for him, so he will be able to kill them off faster as he pushes.
Warriors of the wood.
Evil Genius now has this Force Staff out on him, and there will be a smoke out from the Radiant here, as the Dire did not have vision. They have a ward over here, so if they are watching very closely on that Sentry ward, they may be able to spot this smoke out. No pings coming out quite yet, so they will smoke into Roche. Evil Genius kind of hanging out for a moment or two longer, and it looks like they will be able to smoke into Roche. Bounty Hunter does get a kill up on the top lane on the Nature's Prophet, though. So in the meantime, they're going to try to trade that kill for a Roshan, with the ward being dropped on the high ground. The Dire seem to be totally unaware of this happening, as they were not looking strictly at this ward, and because of the smoke, unless the Dire were looking at this patch of land and able to see the smoked heroes come out, the smoked heroes do not appear on the minimap, so this entire thing is going completely unnoticed by the Dire. Roshan will be going down in a moment or two. Ben is probably going to be the one to pick up the Aegis. Yep, Ben will pick up the Aegis and just waltz on out of there. Definitely a huge boon for them. They really did need that. And just checking out the net worths, it is very close between the Bounty Hunter, the Anti-Mage, and the Nature's Prophet and the Nakes, all within a couple thousand gold of each other. Evil Genius throwing out a blind hook, but no such luck there. There's no one hanging out at the secret shop for him to hook out, but gotta give him points for trying there. But between the Anti-Mage and the Bounty, they're just sitting highest on that net worth chart. And Bounty sitting way up there at 14,000, well above pretty much everyone else, and he will pick up the Battle Fury and the Orchid and the Vlads all up in his inventory. Does have another hammer out here, so it looks like he might be going for something like a BKB or a Desolator, depending on if he wants the survivability or the damage. The survivability might be cancelled off because Pudge's ult as well as the Fiend Grip coming out from the Bane are managing to stun up BKB'd and raged heroes, so he will be able to be locked down in the middle of a fight if he chooses to go for that BKB. But that's not to say it's not worth it. Because of that BKB, he won't be able to get targeted by the Sprout. He is still able to be sprouted in if he does get aimed, if Sprout is aimed at his feet instead of clicked directly on the hero. He will be able to avoid Bane's Nightmare, Leshrac's Split Earth, as well as Leshrac's Lightning, and the open wounds coming out from the Nakes, as well as the hook coming out from the Pudge. All are able to be avoided from that BKB. Pudge just kind of fishing up there again, with some wards being dropped up top, but the ward is quickly de-warded, as the Dire were well aware of that possible warding placement and drops the Sentry preemptively to be able to take that out. Tracks coming out now on Razi as the defense is being mounted by the Dire here, and they're just kind of sitting on the back foot, dropping tracks so they have full vision, and the Lifestealer is stuck in Evil Genius. Evil Genius will go fishing again, not get quite much of anything, but definitely worth a try, I suppose. If he does get lucky on one of that, that could be the initiation, the Radiant needs to be able to get that huge initiation. And Poutini will get hooked out by Evil Genius. Ben popping out immediately, and the wards are dropped by Hasker. Hasker gets the shackle up, but immediately canceled by the Leshrac and Bane. Der Kaiser in the middle of that fight, getting some hits up on Squid, but he does get sprouted and damaged out there. Cross-dropping the ultimate and trapping everyone in. No real follow-up, though, as the anti-mage had already retreated. Evil Genius might go down here, but it will be a close one. Triple stun coming out on the Leshrac. Perfect stun. Anti-mage will drop the ultimate and get the kill on the Leshrac, but a beautiful, beautiful split earth coming out from him. Ben is going to get stunned up and swapped out and held in place. Der Kaiser getting another kill on the Nature's Prophet on the back end. Ben getting Force-Staffed out and rages up, but he will drop that Aegis. And that hook coming out from Evil Genius on the Vengeful Spear will get the kill immediately. Ben kind of still pushing in, and Anti-Mage on the back side here manages to get a kill on Bane. He's just been preying on the supports as of late, and he will man-fight with the Lifestealer, but not going to be able to get that kill. Evil Genius coming in with the ultimate and hook and other things to be able to get that kill, but Evil Genius will get initiated on by Cross with that slow. He does get Force-Staffed away and will possibly try to deny himself. Yep, he tries to deny himself, but Anti-Mage manages to get that kill. Anti-Mage working on that Wicked 6 streak, does have 11 kills, and that has raised his net worth to 15,000. That's going to be a powerful 15,000 coming out between the Manta and the Battle Fury, and now it looks like he has about 4,300 gold and maybe going for another item very soon. If I was him personally, I would go for something like a heart, just because he needs that survivability. Every time in those fights, every problem that he's been having has been that he gets into the fight, tries to do some damage, and manages to get killed or hurt so badly he needs to retreat very quickly. Ben pulling out the Desolator for a bit more physical damage oriented build here, as that 7 negative armor coming out from that will hurt his enemies and allow him and his allies, especially the Nature's Prophet, who has a ton of physical DPS. He will get silenced up by Poutini, and he will silence himself. The Orchid will get the kill on Poutini's part there. Getting a couple more gold in his pocket is always welcome for the Dire here, and he will be able to farm up whatever item he's going for next very shortly. It will be the BKB as he drops the 1,000 gold on the Ogre Club here. So another 800 gold or so, and he will be able to pick that up. Rossi just hiding in the trees here, trying to stay out of harm's way. Der Kaiser will pick up the first two pieces for that heart in the Vitality Booster and the Reaver. And as you can see, that boosted his survivability huge already there. He's up to 2,100 life, and we'll see just how survivable he is with the initiation coming out from Pendulum. Drops the Enfeeble, but gets silenced up immediately. Huge silence coming out from Bane, not allowing him to lock anyone down. And that's going to be a huge kill for them, getting the Bane out of the way, as that is a huge source of support for the Radiant. Razi in a little bit of a bad place there, but Kaiser not going quite on him yet. We'll possibly see, we'll see him walk by and blink in front of him, and manages to get a couple good hits on him, but Leshrac landing the stun will slow down his inevitable death. Looks like he is just going to hide in the corner and wait. Anti-Mage getting that kill, and that was a track kill for all three of them, so gold going heavily in favor of the Dire, especially for those last two kills, as they both were track kills. Der Kaiser looks like he does have up the heart recipe, and he will be bringing that out to himself very shortly, while at the same time Poutini finishing up that BKB, and that's also flying out to him. Meanwhile, Squid pushing out the bottom lane, and he will get the recipe for the Mjolnir, and only needs a couple hundred gold to finish that off just for the Hyperstone, and that'll help him push even more quickly, as the Chain Lightning coming out from the Mjolnir will help him blow those creep waves away. Evil Genius setting up for another hook here. Looks like he might be trying to get the hook on the Vengeful, and will miss just barely, though. Force-staffing into position behind those trees and then throwing out the hook just a tad bit out of range. He had what looked like the right line, but he just needed a little bit more range there. Ben, after clearing out those ancient stacks, will go for the Hyperstone. Looks like he'll be going for an Assault Cuirass build just to get that armor up against the physical DPS coming out between Poutini and the Lifestealer. Poutini will find him farming up the ancient stacks, throws out the Janyana and a couple damage. Pendulum there to back him up, though. Drops the Enfeeble, drops the Nightmare, and drops the Fiend's Grip. Dust coming out from Razi along with a stun. Stun will be dropped, and it looks like Bounty Hunter will go down. He is very survivable, but if he doesn't manage to get off that BKB, not that it would have really mattered too much there, as the Lifestealer was there to drop the physical DPS if he did BKB, but he might have been able to survive if the Fiend's Grip damage wasn't there, but a little bit too bad, with Bane managing to get off the Fiend's Grip before he could react. Squid still pushing out this bottom lane, dropping the Treants and just trying to farm up those waves as much as possible, just being a constant nuisance to the Dire here as he farms out the waves. Cross does have his drums up now, and will just be kind of walking around, scouting out the lane around there, looking for a rune perhaps, and dropping some wards. Very defensive ward coming out back here. And as you can see, just from the ward placement, you can tell how the Dire is feeling right now. They're feeling oppressed. If they're trying to ward this far on their own map, their own side of the map, rather, that is, it looks like they're just trying to take a very defensive footing based on those pushes. The pushes coming out from THB are very dangerous, as the Leshrac and the Lifestealer and as well as the Nature's Prophet, rather, are able to push on those towers very quickly between the Treants, the Desolator on the Lifestealer, as well as looks like the Assault Cuirass coming up very soon, all applying negative armor to buildings. So the minus, I believe, 5 armor it is from the Assault Cuirass, minus 7 armor from the Desolator will allow them to take down those towers much more quickly. Razi kind of wandering around, drops the Observer ward up on the high ground here. That'll give them a lot of vision. And you can see the differences in warding techniques from the different teams. Razi coming in here and looks like Razi will get initiated on all 3 images, managing to take him down. He does get the stun off, but he will die immediately anyway. But you can see the differences in wards, and it looks like they're going to try to go on Squid, but Squid managing to get out of there before anyone comes too close. But just based off the differences in the wards, the Radiant is warding the enemy jungle. They're warding this high ground spot, and they're warding this spot. And let's just show their vision again real quick. Radiant vision, you can tell they really want this kind of vision deep in the enemy jungle, allowing them to get those pickoffs, and there is going to be a push on the bottom lane. Contrast that with the Dire vision. Dire looking at their own jungle as well. They're all looking for vision in the same spot. That is a hotbed of activity, but at the same time, the Dire is on a defensive footing. If they are looking at their own jungle, that means they're not looking at the Radiant jungle. They're not looking for an aggressive ward, say, over here and at this spot down here, because they still haven't knocked down this tower. This tower is really limiting where they can go. They can't efficiently go into the Radiant jungle just because the Radiant could have TP reactions. They have the reaction capability, rather, of coming to this tower and TPing into their own jungle. Without that tower going down, the Dire is going to have a very hard time. It looks like Squid will go down on the top lane using the Orchid from Poutini here. A little bit hard to catch that kill, sorry about missing it, but Hasker sheeping out a creep just in case it, comes back, and Roshan will be back in 30 seconds or so. Neither team having vision in there. Perhaps that's what the Bane was buying up with those smokes for. Looks like they're going to smoke into Roshan. They are a little bit early, with Roshan coming up in probably another 15 seconds or so, though, but it doesn't look like they'll care. Lifestealer finishes up the Assault Cuirass, so that will be available for them during this Roshan attempt, and that will be huge, as once again that huge physical damage coming out between those 2 items will be very important. Roshan just respawning in a couple seconds. Looks like they'll wait, and Roshan will be up, and they'll just go straight on in. Once again, the Dire, having no vision there, are not aware of this. Der Kaiser, though, has finished up his Heart of Toras and is well on his way to the Butterfly, with the Eagle Song already coming up. Butterfly is going to be a very big item for him, as that Lifestealer doesn't have an MKB and doesn't look like he'll be getting an MKB anytime soon, as he is a little bit poor. Roshan will go down, and Ben will pick that Aegis up, and the Hand of Midas keeping it in his inventory, choosing instead to drop TP scrolls to get that Aegis. That might have been a bit of a misplay by Warriors of the Apocalypse, not being aware that Roshan was back up. They could have possibly taken a fight there, in fact, especially because the Anti-Mage is getting pretty farmed at this point. His net worth is up near 22,000, about 6,000 above that of the Nature's Prophet. So that'll allow him to be a much bigger influence in these fights as he continues to farm. Getting very close to his Butterfly. He could actually buy that up relatively soon. Couple more creep kills most likely, and he will have that out on him. And that'll allow him to just kind of dodge those hits from the Lifestealer and the Nature's Prophet. And that'll be huge, and it'll giving him even more survivability. Nature's Prophet will TP in. Ben getting ward trapped up, and he will be force tapped out with Poutini getting pulled out by Evil Genius. Pendulum just getting that a little bit of that kill, and it looks like the swap will be there, and the trio coming down, locking everyone down. Pendulum taking a lot of damage, but Nature's Prophet getting the kill on Treant Protector. Der Kaiser in the middle of the fight. He's doing a ton of damage to everyone, picking up 2 kills already. He is going to get stunned up. It looks like, oh no, all the stuns are down. Der Kaiser Kaiser going to be able to blink away, and that heart and butterfly paying dividends here. He manages to get in, get several kills as his team is just melting around him, and he re-engages on Evil Genius and will manage to get that kill on Evil Genius, and it looks like he will go down to the Lifestealer there. Lifestealer managing to get that kill. It's going to be a huge kill for them as AM did just buy that butterfly, and he will not have buyback. Let's just check out the buyback statuses here. And it looks like the only people with buyback are the Radiant team. Lifestealer picking up another kill on the Shadow Shaman here. Will be free for another 80 seconds of this Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage possibly not doing as well as he could there just because he bought the butterfly. And while the butterfly may have enabled him to live as long as he did in that fight, it also limited him to 1 life, while the Lifestealer actually has 3 lives right now. He can die to the Aegis, and he did. He bought the Aegis, or 3 lives. He lived, died, dropped the Aegis, lived again, is on his 2nd life currently, clearing out that middle racks, and he could die again, buy back, come back into the fight, and be back immediately, especially if Squid TP'd back to base and allowed him to infest and TP in. Looks like they will take the middle racks down, going on the bottom rack now, and there's not much the Dire can do to stop him with the Anti-Mage down for another 40 seconds still. They will clear out these bottom barracks, and that's going to be a 2 barracks lead for THB, and they will all start to back off with just a couple health left on that bottom barrack. That will likely go down as the big creeps start pouring in, but he has managed to save the range racks on the bottom, but they are still a full 2 lanes of racks up, and that's going to be huge in securing their late game advantage. The Anti-Mage still does have a massive farm advantage. Well, actually not massive. I thought it'd be a lot bigger than that. After this fight, the Nature's Prophet and Lifestealer have come within 1,000 and 3,000 gold respectively of that Anti-Mage, and that's going to be huge in slowing down the Anti-Mage's farm. Closing that gap is going to be key, especially with Lifestealer, possibly, hopefully, actually going for the MKB next to be able to hit that Lifestealer through the evasion granted by the Butterfly. That Butterfly evasion will help him out until Ben and the Nature's Prophet get up an MKB, and Nature's Prophet has about 4k gold. He could be well on his way if that's what he chooses to get, and that damage is going to be so important in killing off the Anti-Mage. Ben, the other item he could go at this point is going to be the Abyssal Blade, but it looks like Nature's Prophet will choose to go for the Scythe of Ice instead. Scythe of Ice will also be very key in locking down the Anti-Mage. He will backdoor that barracks and get that kill real quickly. No big deal there for him, but that will help the lane push out a little bit faster. It was inevitable one way or the other, but it looks like he'll get that now rather than later. Lifestealer spending the last of his gold to pick up that MKB, like I said. He does sacrifice buyback for that, so he no longer has buyback, but at the same time, he does have an MKB now, so every hit he drops will land. And when he's doing close to 300 damage, it looks like, about 220 damage or so before he pops out that armlet and before he gets the MKB, so probably up into the 300s or so. Once he gets that to him, he will be able to get 300 damage consistently down on the Anti-Mage, and that's before the massive armor reduction coming out from the Desolator and Assault Cuirass. He will be able to drop the armor of the heroes on the Dire by 12, and considering the Anti-Mage has 28, that's not a huge deal, but it will be pretty significant against something like the Shadow Shaman. That means he'll have -7 armor, while Cross will also have -7 armor. The Bounty will still have positive armor, but he'll only be looking at 11, while the Vengeful Spirit will also have positive armor, but only by about 3 or so. So that will amplify the physical damage done by the Radiant team here, between Ben and Squid doing all the physical DPS they can possibly do. They will catch out Poutini dropping the Sprout. He's a little bit too quick, though, and manages to get out of range before he can throw out that Sprout. Der Kaiser back to a same old game of jumping into the jungle, and it looks like Pudge will pick up the Heaven's Halberd, looking for the maim chance, the slow, the evasion, and the biggest part of that is going to be the disarm. If the Anti-Mage chooses to jump in, and Anti-Mage doesn't have a BKB, so he can't get those kinds of effects off of him, the disarm is going to force him not to attack for several seconds. On melee heroes, it lasts 3 seconds. That's 3 seconds in the middle of a fight. Der Kaiser will not be able to attack, and that's huge in locking him down and not allowing to him do as much damage as he does in the middle of those fights. Huge pickup for Pudge, and it grants him the evasion so that he can evade any attacks that do come out. Squid TPing into the bottom lane to try to get that kill on Cross, and he will sheep him and attempt to get that kill, but it looks like he will be sheeped up. and locked down by Huskar. He is getting hit a little bit up, and Cross will drop the ultimate, but for some reason did not hit Squid, but all 5 of them come back into that and knock out the mega kill on the Nature's Prophet. Evil Genius coming in, throwing in a hook with that haste rune, but not managing to land that by a little bit, and will be able to just run on out of here. Der Kaiser back to farming up middle lane. We'll see what he decides to go next, but I doubt he'll be caught out again without buyback. As you can see, he is the only one on the map right now with buyback, and that is probably a reaction to him not having buyback last fight they had. And it cost them 2 barracks, 2 lanes of barracks, sorry, not even just 2 barracks. It cost them 2 full lanes of barracks that round. So I don't think he'll let a mistake happen like that again. Nature's Prophet picking up the Demon Edge, looking like he's going to build into the MKB, and Pendulum will be caught out by Der Kaiser, but he will put him to sleep and just slowly waltz on out of there. But the image, look at how tanky those images are, being able to take on Pendulum 1 versus 1 with ease, tanking up the tower here too. This actually might go the way of the image if they stop to fight it. I would put money on that image actually. He puts it to sleep and starts to back off himself. Ben running through 6 slotted now. He could sell off the Midas when he gets enough money for another item. He could sell off the Midas and pick up something else. At this point, I'm not even sure what I would go, but honestly, if I was in his shoes, I would go for an Abyssal Blade. It gives you tons of damage, but more importantly, it gives you that lockdown. That lockdown on the anti-mage will be huge. On the Bounty Hunter here with his BKB, it will be huge. It's a several second stun coming out. It goes through BKB, it goes through everything. So he will be able to lock down in the middle of a fight, lock one of them down, which will be very important. Roshan responding in a quick 2 minutes, so about 49 minutes and some seconds. It will be back up. Hopefully the Dire look to contest it this time, as giving away the Roshan twice already is not going to be in their best interest, and giving it away again is going to be disastrous. Then they could just pretty much sacrifice the Lifestealer over and over and over to get that top lane and push that out and get the Mega Creeps. And once you get Mega Creeps, the game is nearly over. Huskar looking very rich for support here. He has a Bloodstone. He almost has his full Aghanim, which is going to be very helpful for him in dropping multiple, well, not multiple, but stronger wards. Those wards add a whole lot of damage once he gets that up. Poutini just kind of checking out the Roche Pit here, has the track up on Evil Genius, and that ward dropped from Razzie. I'm not quite sure how much vision that gives him, but we can check that out real quick. Yeah, giving almost no vision. It gives this little sliver here, and it looks like it gives this vision, but that little sliver is all it's going to give. I think he meant to put it a little bit up higher so it will give this whole area of vision, but that's okay. It's a little bit off-placed, but they can definitely survive there. Evil Genius is going to get tracked up again, so this time the Dire are aware that they cannot give away this Aegis again, so they are making sure that they have vision here. They have this ward watching over, and they do have a track up on the Pudge, so if they do try to smoke in again, at least if they don't realize the Pudge is tracked, they will be able to see it. Constant defense coming up from the sports between Avacos and Huskar here, just trying to keep those creeps out and away from the base. And it looks like Roche will be up in about 25 seconds, so both teams looking to posture around for that. Der Kaiser still farming out the jungle, but he does have those boots of travel, which will be key in getting him into that Roche Pit in time, so he can continue to farm up this lane, but still TP in and support his team when that fight comes. Looks like they're going to group up and hang out right in that ward vision. It looks like they really don't know that's there, and it turns out that's a halfway decent ward for the Radiant. Radiant will try the same old tricks over and over. They are going to smoke up and try to sneak in under the guise of smoke. There is no vision out, but it looks like they will break the smoke. Pendulum being out in front. Evil Genius managing to hook out Huskar, managing to get that kill right away. Oh, but that Bane saves Huskar, but Huskar manages to get those wards off. Ben in the middle of the fight, getting a couple hits up on Cross. Ben against against Poutini here. Poutini doing tons of damage to Ben. Ben gets blocked up on the top of that ramp by Evil Genius, and he will go down and be forced to buy back and TP back in. Evil Genius going down on the back lines here, and it is looking like a routing for the Dire. Tons of buybacks coming out from the Lifestealer and Nature's Prophet, and Evil Genius is going to be on the run, but it looks like he might go down to range, but he will deny himself. They have a very small window here to get this kill in. As the Nature, actually, that's a lie. They have 3 down on the Radiant, and none of them are buying back, as none of them, well, Bane can buy back, but what's the point at this stage? They are not going to be able to come back for this Roshan at this point, so they're not even bothering. Ben trying to go in there solo, and he will be initiated on track, but Rage to get that off. Poutini versus Ben. I'd give the edge to Ben here. He will manage to get the kill on Treant Protector, and coming back on Avocos and going back and forth between Poutini and Avocos, he will get the Bounty Hunter kill, and Roche still really low health, but it looks like Ben doesn't care. He's just going to come in and solo the team, basically, with the Nature's Prophet pushing out on top. He realizes that if the entire Dire team is going to focus on that bottom lane, or the Roshan, significantly more than anything else, that he can push out that top lane. So trading in Aegis for the last lane of Rax, or the last tier 3 tower, is not going to be in the Dire's best interest. Derek Kaiser coming off on this top lane with the Basher to slow down that push, but it looks like Avocos is kind of babysitting the Roshan. Hopefully Derek Kaiser will be able to get back over into that middle lane and get back down towards that Roche before the entire Gradient team comes back. Rozzy does pick up the Ghost Scepter, gets him away from the Anti-Mage and the... Oh, Squid coming in, trying to steal the A just right from underneath the nose of the Dire, but Poutini will find him out, track him up, silence him, and he will be killed immediately. The Dire here are going to take the Aegis, it looks like, and they will. Derek Kaiser going to sell off. Well, he has nothing to sell. Poutini taking the Aegis. Cheese still on the ground. Derek Kaiser not willing to sell anything in his inventory for that cheese. He does finish up the Abyssal Blade, which would be huge in locking down the Radiant team. Cross or Haskell or someone has really got to pick up that cheese. Even if they just hold it temporarily and walk away with it, it would be very helpful, but no one taking it as they all mill around. Hasker finally ends up taking it, and they all walk casually out of the Roche pit in a moment or two. Avocos, still pretty rich as far as supports go, does have a 4-staff, does have that mech, going to be very helpful. And it looks like a tier 4 went down on the Dire side here during the course of that fight. And the creeps, you really can't let these creeps alone. They do tons of damage. Each of these melee creeps doing out 52 damage, and that is going to melt your towers. If you let them have free reign of your towers, they will melt. So Poutini just running around in the middle lane here, throwing out some tracks, getting some creep kills, and farming up the mid lane. He does have up the Aegis, so he can kind of be a little bit more reckless, but with the damage output that comes out from the Lifestealer and the Nature's Prophet, with all the damage they actually do have, he can't really be all that reckless. He only has 1860 health, and I say only, that is a lot of health for something like a Bounty Hunter. But at the same time, when the Lifestealer is doing 360 damage a hit, Nature's Prophet is doing 320 damage a hit, that health melts in 6-7 hits, especially with the minus armor coming out from both of them. Not to mention any magic damage that gets out before he can pop his BKB. He will melt very quickly, and that is just going to be disastrous for him. Checking out the buyback status, Anti-Mage and Vengeful, the only ones on the map with buyback here. Ben just used his, so he has another 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Bounty Hunter used his as well in that fight, so he has 3 minutes left, with the Nature's Prophet having another 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Ben is 6 slotted now. He does pick up the Basher on his way to that Abyssal Blade, like I remarked earlier. He sells off the Midas at this point. That Midas has paid for itself many, many times over, so he will pick up the Basher in anticipation of that Abyssal Blade. The Abyssal Blade going to be huge in locking down the Anti-Mage. Evil Genius still has that Heaven's Halberd up as the Leshrac picks up the Boots of Travel. That's going to allow them to react a lot quicker. Once they all start getting Boots of Travel up, that's going to allow them to react quicker, buy back quicker, and the Nature's Prophet here teleporting himself on top of the little ledge here, probably trying to just get a couple creep kills, but he is stuck up there for another couple seconds. Manages to farm up this camp as well, and you can see that attack speed and that damage coming out from him. That DPS is going to be huge. Avocos defending out the bottom lane, managed to pull out the Ultimate Orb. Possibly going for something like a sheep if he ever makes it there, but that's going to be a long time in the making for such a support, and a poor support at that. Looking at the bottom of the net worth charts is going to be Leshrac at the very bottom. He does have his Ghost Scepter though, and that is going to be key in locking himself down, really, not allowing him to die immediately to the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage could pretty much get 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 swipes in, and will kill him immediately. Evil Genius infesting up the Lifestealer, and Derek Kaiser will initiate and getting Fiend Script up immediately. But look at how tanky he is, sitting in the middle of the fight. He was tanky, that is, until Squid started hitting on him. The Trino coming out, locking everyone down, crossing the middle of the fight, going down to the Nature's Prophet there as well. Anti-Mage buys back and tries to come back into the game, but Hasker is getting taken down. Derek Kaiser in the middle of the fight, he gets Abyssal Bladed up, and it looks like he might be going down a second time, but he manages to escape with 1,000 life and blink away. That Abyssal Blade paying off huge for Ben, or not Ben, for the Basher, paying off huge for Ben there in the middle of the fight. Der Kaiser is going to Abyssal Blade out Ben, but not looking like it matters. He does get hooked out. Very good hook by Evil Genius. Stun coming out on Der Kaiser. Poutini going into the middle of the fight there and popping that Aegis as Evil Genius gets sheep. Squid sitting there still at relatively high health, and Poutini does get sheeped up and brought down immediately. Evil Genius getting stunned up in the middle of the fight. He might be going down. Oh, coming out from Anti-Mage, not doing much of anything. Der Kaiser does manage to get the kill out on the Nature's Prophet. Evil Genius getting a hook off on the Vengeful Spirit, but going down quickly again to Der Kaiser. Der Kaiser just doing so much damage, and that Ghost Staff paying off huge for the Leshrac there, saving his life as he tries to TP away. Decent fight coming out there for the Dire. They do manage to defend. They don't lose everyone in the middle of their own base, but no buybacks for anyone at this time as Nature's Prophet, Pudge both use theirs immediately. Der Kaiser also having to buy back in that fight, and Evil Genius is going to come in and not get the Dismember off in time to lock him down. That probably would have been his kill, as he did have Squid there to back him up. So he did not get that off in time, sadly for them, but Anti-Mage blinking away. Lifestealer now does have his buyback up. He managed to not use his buyback that fight, so he does have the gold for that, but he might choose to go for an Abyssal in an attempt to end the game very shortly. Pudge landing another hook. Evil Genius getting that up, but Der Kaiser getting Fiend gripped up as he tanks that out. Cross coming in with that ultimate again, locking everybody down. Evil Genius taking a ton of damage from that Anti-Mage, but Anti-Mage is going to go down a second time. It looks like he will go down to the Nature's Prophet, and that's huge. He has no buyback and does not respawn for another 95 seconds. It looks like this might well be the end of the game. Hasker going down, getting hooked by Evil Genius. Ben picking up the kill there. Infest into the Bane and coming out, and they will look to end it, not even going for the next racks. They know that Anti-Mage is down for another 80 seconds. GG's coming out from everyone. Hell of a good game. Very close score. 49-46 at what I would consider the end of the game. Good game coming out from both teams, and it looks like that will be my cue to exit. Thank you for letting me cast you today, and thank you for listening to this. I am SeeC. You can catch me over at youtube.com/SeeCDota. That's SeeC Dota at youtube.com. Please subscribe. Please watch all my other videos. I have a whole bunch of other Dota 2 Castit videos up there, as well as some from the International Western Qualifiers. Give me a subscribe. Give me some likes. Drop me some comments. And please, please, please let me know how I can improve. I'm here to serve you, and I'm here for your enjoyment. If you let me know how to improve, I can change things, and I can be a better caster for you. That means better casts, more fun for everyone, and a better product coming out. Thank you, and have a great day, Dota fans.